Well, hello and a very warm welcome to Business Today TV. I am Chetan Bhutani. Well, Maruti Suzuki has come out with a set of numbers, and I'm joined with the chairman of Maruti Suzuki India Ltd, Mr. R.C. Bhargava. Bhargava sir, thank you so much for joining us at Business Today. Bhargava sir, first question to you: what are the numbers looking like, sir? Usually, this is the usual trend when elections happen, heat waves happen. The quarter is usually sluggish and slow, and usually the third quarter is usually a very, a good one. But what are your interpretations and your outlook, sir?
Well, certainly the market is no better than what we had forecast at the beginning of the year. In fact, that was the industry forecast given by SIAM and others also, that this year, after last year's pretty good performance, was likely to be a subdued year.
Okay.
And it's turned out exactly like that. And I don't see that the fourth quarter will be too different from what it has been so far in the first and second quarters. But fine with us, because at least there is some growth and something happening in the industry, and which is all right. I mean, we don't expect that we should have high growth all the time. It won't happen. And the fact that our economy is doing well and it's growing at a good rate, and our all the parameters relating to the economy are pretty much amongst the best anywhere. That gives some optimism that while there may be fluctuations in the automobile sector, overall, with the country moving forward and moving positively towards higher trajectories for growth, the car industry can't be too bad. It has to be pretty good over a long term.
Sure. So also, as far as the Q2 net profit is concerned, it saw a decline of 17%. You mentioned that it was due to the provisions linked to the Finance Act and, of course, the tax revisions. Do you foresee further challenges on that, sir?
No, I think that's a one-off event which happened because the budget just took away a concession which existed. So we had to make a provision for all the investments we have. And that's done and done with. We had intimated this to the stock exchange earlier also. That's it.
Right. Also, Bhargav sir, domestic sales volume is down by about 3.9 or 4%, and we've seen that dealers are also signaling an SOS to the inventory build up. So, how is Maruti Suzuki addressing the high inventory issue, and could we see further reduction in dealership dispatches in the near term?
Chetan, we've been aware of this problem for some time, and we have taken positive steps to deal with it. The production plans have been adjusted to take into account the dealer stocks, because now we are not basing our numbers and our results and all based on the wholesale figures. Because if it's wholesale figures, you want to sell as many cars as possible.
Absolutely.
They're now converting everything because the Transport Ministry's Vahan data is now comprehensive and very reliable. So we are now using the retail registration sales data to determine what we have actually sold. And on that basis, we see what our market performance is, what stocks the dealer needs to have to keep up that level of sale and things. So we think that as we go along now and we base all our plans and schemes and things on the retail data and not bother about the wholesale figure of pushing vehicles to the dealer to show higher sales, the whole situation will change. And some of these aberrations which have happened in the last few months will not happen again.
Okay. And so Bhargav, do you feel that in near term, the situation at dealerships would eventually be fine and the high inventory levels of the dealerships could probably be reduced in times to come?
In our case, we don't see a situation where high inventories will pile up with dealers because we will be working on the retail sale basis.
Right. Got it, sir.
So dealer stock is irrelevant to us. By pushing stock to the dealer, we don't stand to gain anything.
Fair enough, sir. So also the company has implemented discounts recently. While it has boosted sales to an extent, how has it impacted the margins? And do you see the need to continue these discounts in the current demand environment?
Discounts are required when you have stocks which are not selling and which you want to get rid of because they're becoming old.
Hmm. Right, sir. And of course, it appears
Happens
that
when
there
you
is a
pile up too much stock with the dealer.
right.
If you control dealer stocks, control your production,
Hmm.
then the requirement for giving discounts to dispose of stock which are not selling is also not there.
Hmm. Right, sir. Absolutely. And of
So
course,
the
sir, it
system
appears
of
that there is a
wholesale figures which you've been using, all this has been not a good system.
hmm. Right, sir. Right, sir. Absolutely. Right. And of course, sir, it appears that there's a decline in demand for vehicles priced below 10 lakhs. And you've also just mentioned in the, sales call as well.
Yeah.
Uh, Sir, Maruti Suzuki forms a major chunk of the below 10 lakh car sales. Are you ready to adapt to this shift? And are you still bullish that the segment will eventually fall back? Or do you have different plans of cutting production down of small cars then?
Chetan, this country consists of people with very low incomes to people with very high incomes.
Hmm.
The number of people with modest incomes is much larger than the number of people who are in the HNI type of variety. In 2018-19, 80% of the cars sold in India were cars which were 10 lakhs or below.
Hmm.
Now, they were bought by people who were of comparatively modest income people. Because the car costs after that went up sharply, especially in this category of 10 lakhs, the market here has stopped growing. From 2 lakhs 80,000 cars which were sold in 1819, last year, 23-24, this had come down to 2.23 lakhs.
Hmm.
Now, instead of growing, it's going down. What is growing is what used to be the top 20% of the market,
Hmm.
10 lakhs and above in 1980. That has grown sharply.
Right, sir.
What it tells us is that it's the limited people with very high incomes who are buying cars today and they're driving those. But then think that how do this 20% or 25%, even the numbers are growing, 25, even 30%, buy enough cars to compensate for that large numbers who are not buying cars anymore?
Hmm.
So overall, if you look at the total growth of the industry compared to what it used to grow, it can't grow as fast as it used to grow.
Hmm.
Because a large chunk of people are not contributing to the growth.
Right. And also,
That
Bhargav-san, one more interjection towards this. So, would there be a plan to eventually cut down production of small cars and focus more on SUVs and EVs in the near future?
we have to produce, and we are producing more SUVs and vehicles in that area. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to maintain our market share of 40%.
Absolutely,
But
sir.
that still does not mean that the overall growth of the industry will become high,
Hmm.
because the segment which is growing cannot compensate for the entire industry, entire
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
This lower segment has to come back in the market.
Okay. Correct.
And its ability to do so depends both on the cost of the cars, the regulatory effects on the cost of the cars, and the growth of the income.
Hmm.
The growth of income part is positive because the economy is doing so well.
Hmm.
But the negative is the growth in the cost of the car, especially because of regulatory requirements.
Hmm. Absolutely, sir. You actually, Bhargav-san, you very well noted the strain of the middle income segment, and the factors like high EMIs and tax increases impacting consumption. Do you think there would be a somewhat impact in the near term to the passenger vehicle segment?
I don't know because, there are so many people involved in this kind of decision making.
Right. Absolutely, sir. Towards my last two set of questions, sir. Raw material prices have somewhat softened now, but could we still expect a price hike due to other factors? Is Maruti likely to adjust pricing in the coming year, or probably the next year, to maintain margins?
At the moment, there is no proposal. And in a market which is a subdued market, every company will think twice before increasing prices.
Okay.
Because it's easier to increase prices in a buoyant market.
Hmm.
It's not so easy to increase market prices when the market is subdued or not growing very much.
Hmm.
Because
Right,
then
sir.
you might just push growth down even further.
Right, sir. Right, sir. And of course, towards the festive season sales, sir, what is your outlook for the festive season period? And of course, the outlook of the automobile sector in India in the near term or the long term?
The festival season तो इस साल का तो खत्म हो गया. It's over.
Hmm.
And traditionally, the festival season is what keeps a lot of people going because they can sell more cars here than they can sell in any other month.
Hmm.
So I think that this practice is not going to change because Indians we all have our things that we don't want to buy expensive products or build a house or move into a house during the inauspicious periods. We want to do things in auspicious periods. So ये सब चीजें they will all continue. I don't think we need to worry on that account.
Sure, sir. And last question, sir. Given the slowdown in the consumption impacting both the auto and the FMCG sectors, do you believe that the RBI should probably take a accommodative stance in its upcoming policy? And how significant would be a rate cut in boosting demand, sir?
I think the RBI has been very conscious of the need to balance growth of the economy with the control over inflation.
Hmm.
And unlike at times in the past, they have not leaned too much to one side or the other. They've maintained a very good balance in it. And I think that is what has helped in many ways when many countries in the world have had all kinds of problems, including inflation.
Hmm.
We have kept our inflation well under control,
Hmm.
but we have also maintained high growth rates.
Hmm.
But if you look at the way the economy has been managed, I think you'll see that both the Reserve Bank as well as the Government of India have done a pretty good job of looking at all the parameters and keeping a good balance.
But do you think that the rate cut would help in boosting demand? Any comment on that side, sir?
Sorry?
Any comment on the fact that if RBI cuts the rate in its upcoming policy, would it boost further demand?
See, if what it looks like to me is that if the inflation now comes down a little bit more,
Hmm.
and there are signs that it's going to do so,
Hmm.
I would imagine that early next year you might see a rate cut.
Okay. Got it, sir.
It's likely because for some time now, inflation has been both wholesale and retail
Hmm.
has been at fairly reasonable levels.
Hmm.
We are not too outside what the RBI wants.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Well, Bhargav, thank you so much for joining us at Business
Thank
Today.
you, Chetan. Thanks
We
a
would
lot.
be, of course, wishing you and your entire family at Maruti Suzuki a very happy Diwali. And of course,
Thank you very much. The
the
same to
quarter third would
you.
be a great outcome and great sales as far as the consumers as well. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.